What is going on, ladies and gentlemen on YouTube? How's everybody doing? We'll be getting started here shortly. Just give me a few moments, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to get started here. Let me know how the audio levels are, how it is sounding. As you guys can see right off the bat, we are officially less than 10 hours away from the fourth Bitcoin halving in Bitcoin's entire history. The fourth one, guys. Are you guys excited? What's up, guys? My name is Jay. Welcome to Bitcoin Daily and welcome to Let's Talk Crypto. This is episode 45, I believe. Today we're talking about the Bitcoin halving, obviously. It is the 19th of April. It's about 11:30 a.m. here where I live. And yeah, there's a lot going on in the markets right now. We saw yesterday, let me swipe here. Yesterday, look at this candle. Let's go over to the 4-hour chart. Let me actually swap here my charts because this one's a little cluttered. Here we go. Yesterday we saw this candle right here sweep all the lows once again. So we swept the lows and we set some new lows here, some new recent lows. As news came in that Israel attacked Iran. But then, very shortly after, we got this massive 4.5% candle, and we reached $65,000 again. So there has been a lot of volatility, to say the least. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about that, about the war, the effects on the war, what we can expect going forward based on a potential war, right? We're going to be talking about the Bitcoin halving cycles, and we're going to be talking about, is now still a good time to buy Bitcoin, right? Remember, guys, the best time to buy, the best returns, the best returns in crypto, the parabolic move that everybody loves in Bitcoin is after the halving event, right? So we're gonna be talking about that, and yeah, I'm excited to do this. So let's go ahead and jump in. And first, let's start with the war, because yesterday we saw that Israel retaliated against. Well, it was kind of last night or overnight, whatever it is, depending where you are. It was last night for me. They retaliated against Iran, and Bitcoin's price dropped below $60,000, setting a new recent low, actually. Before, just bouncing right back and heading up and over, right? To where we currently are now, about $65,000. We did hit above 65,000. I think the high was 65,500, around there. So it's been crazy. It's been a crazy few days, crazy 24 hours, a crazy few weeks, really. Because as you guys, let me show you here on the chart, we've been basically in this falling wedge trending to the downside, right? So we've been in this falling wedge type of pattern. You see how everything's been kind of going down and trading within this wedge. And then yesterday, we got this breakout, but then we got the news, right, about the Israel attack. So we got a new fresh low. So it's kind of like we trapped a bunch of traders that were going long, liquidated them, right, set up new lows. Traders switched over to shorts. Boom, price took off, liquidated them. Market loves to do that. Market loves to liquidate everybody in both directions. It's something that plays out over and over again all the time. You guys will see it all the time. Even just looking here, look at this one right here, right? It shot down, liquidated all the longs. At this point, traders start switching over to shorts. What does Bitcoin do? Goes up, liquidates all the shorts. It just happens. It's something that happens over and over. So let's talk a little bit about the war, how it can impact the war, the price of crypto. And this is not something new. It's not something that we've never seen. If we remember, back in 2022, we had a similar situation with Ukraine and Russia, right? So let me pull it up on the screen here. So Ukraine and Russia, this was a very, very similar situation. And you can see how Bitcoin's price did and all cryptos price did during this, right? Let's focus more on Bitcoin, which is the orange line here. And we can see that during this time, when US said that the invasion could occur anytime, Bitcoin's price went down. Then it started going back up slowly. But then when Russia forces sent to break away to the regions, look at this drop, right? We had a pretty big drop there, over 10%. Then it kind of, accumulated in that range for a few days, weeks. And then Russia invades Ukraine, right? Once Russia invaded Ukraine, Bitcoin's price started going up, right? And it just pretty much recuperated from that. So from where it started up here to over here, it recuperated. And if we look historically at how wars affect not only Bitcoin overall, but the stock market, we'll see the same things over and over. The war on the economy and in cryptos, really, well, not cryptos, in like stocks and assets and stuff like that, is usually just a short-term effect, right? Where in the short term, it drops everything drops a lot, right? 10-20%, depending what you're looking at. In Bitcoin, we've seen a drop of about 18%. From the war, though, from when they mentioned the war, I think the drop, I don't remember exactly what day it started, but I think we were around $70,000 is what I want to say. So let's say we topped out around $71,000. From there to the recent lows, about 16.5% drop in Bitcoin alone, right? There's other cryptocurrencies that are down 20, 30, 40, even 50% from their recent highs. So remember, altcoins are always going to be way more volatile. So yes, even though you can make bigger returns in altcoins, you're also going to have bigger drawdowns, right? When there's pullbacks, Bitcoin just pulled back 16.5%. There's altcoins that are pulling back 50, 60%. That's half your value, right? It's cut in half. So yeah, so you have to always be careful with that. But what we see in the long term, I would say in about a month from now, Bitcoin will probably completely recover from this current drop that we're in. So that's pretty much the way I'm looking at it. If you look back in history, it's going to show you the same thing. With Russia and Ukraine, same thing happened. We were down a lot, and then by the next month, we had recovered already. Probably even less than a month. When we had big, like black swan events like the COVID crash, the next month it had completely recovered already. And if you look back in history in any other wars, using the stock market, when the wars were announced, when it was about to happen, everything dropped. And then about a few months later, everything recovered by then. So it is a short-term effect, and it's an opportunity, right? Remember, the halving, we're less than 10 hours away from the Bitcoin halving, um, which is giving us one more opportunity to be able to get in at $60,000 levels, right? Low 60s, even below 60 possibly, right? We've gone below 60 a few times there. So that's how you should be looking at it and potentially playing it as of right now, based on historical data and what history has shown us that prices like to do. So that's pretty much my take on the war and how it affects Bitcoin and how I think it'll continue. What'll happen from here, based on that. So as far as news from the war, now I'm not keeping up with everything 100%, but from what I know, from what I read on Twitter, and it's Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt, is that Iran's official statement is that they were not attacked, right? Israel's official statement is that they did attack. The U.S. says that that the attack was made, right? And I think Iran says that the explosions that were heard or seen was their defense drones or something intercepting the missiles or something like that, I think is what I read. But the U.S. confirmed that was not the case and that the missiles did hit their targets. So I think that what it sounds like is that Iran is basically just saying that nothing was damaged, that it was that because they don't want to actually escalate into a full-out war against Israel, right? They don't want to have to keep going back and forth because that's just bad for everyone. So hopefully that's the case. Israel says that they're done attacking, that they're not going to be attacking anymore. That was their retaliation. But if Iran attacks again, then Israel once again will retaliate. So let's see how this plays out. If there are any more attacks, it's going to once again affect crypto and affect just all markets short term. We'll see a drop, I'm sure, on any news, and then I expect a recovery from there. So now that we got that out the way, let's go ahead and move forward to the Bitcoin analysis, starting with let's talk about the Bitcoin halving phases first. I know I've been speaking about this over and over every single stream, but I think it's important for everyone to know, right? I think this is definitely important information. It might not tell us the full story, exactly how it's going to happen, but it gives us an idea on how it's going to happen and how it might play out, right? And if we have an idea, then we can make better decisions overall for our investments, right? And just looking at it right now, this is where we're at right now, and it's played out to perfection, right? You could say what you want, that there's a war, whatever it is, but the ETFs, right? Whatever story you want to say that's affected the price of Bitcoin, you can say it. But it doesn't matter because if we go back in history, the same thing happened the previous halving. Even though we had this COVID crash, remember we had that massive COVID crash, but everything else basically stayed exactly the same. And once again, if you go back to 2016, same exact thing, guys. We had 5 different phases in the bull run. We have the pre-halving accumulation area, which is probably about 6 months, a little bit over 6 months before the halving. Then we have the pre-halving rally, which is this here happened 42 days before. It's usually around 60 is the average, I believe. And then we had the pre-halving correction. That's phase 3, right? We had this big pullback here. Then we have the post-halving accumulation. So this is when Bitcoin begins to accumulate again after the halving event. And then, of course, the 5th phase is the post-halving rally, which is this monster move to the upside. And again, we can see it again here. Same thing happened. Phase 1, accumulation. Phase 2, pre-halving rally. Even though we had a COVID crash, we still had a rally. Phase 3, was the correction. We see the correction there, even though it was a lot shorter. Phase 4, after the halving, what happened? We had an accumulation. Phase 5, a few months later, began this massive run to the upside. And yeah, we're pretty much sitting at the same place. We're seeing the same things. They're not going to play out exactly the same to the T, but it's going to be close, right? So we're seeing it again. We had phase 1, post-halving accumulation. Phase 2, pre-halving rally. Phase 3, pre-halving pullback. Look at this pullback. It's worked out to perfection. Phase 4, post-halving accumulation, right? That's the next step. That's the next phase. That's where we're going to go into now, basically tomorrow or tonight, after the halving happens. And then phase 5, of course, the post-halving rally, which I'm expecting, to head up here somewhere. So using all that data, using all the historical data, it gives us an idea of how things are going to play out. So for the pre-halving pullback, like we put here, the average is about 35 days, 30 days, and that's pretty much exactly what's happened. Now we're going into the accumulation phase next, tomorrow. This begins tomorrow. This is typically on average, it's been around 90 days, right? So it could be shorter, it could be longer. We don't know, but the average has been around 90 days. So that basically tells us about the next 3 months or so, we could potentially just kind of be consolidating here. But if we look back at the previous one, this only lasted 70 days, right? And if we look at the one before that in 2016, it lasted 147 days. So that's how we got this average of about 90 days, is what we're probably expecting based on the historical average. So once that finishes, right, that's basically your last shot at buying Bitcoin, below $70,000. I'm expecting a move up in Bitcoin's price beyond $100,000. So I honestly do believe that we can hit $100,000 this year. I don't think that's too far-fetched at this point. We've seen a new all-time high already this year. I think we're going to see potentially $100,000 this year. And if it happens, it's probably, in the end of, in quarter 4, the end of the year. So based on these phases, the post-halving rally should begin around the summer. It looks like around mid-July going into August. And I wouldn't be surprised if it began that move up, and then at some point in, I would say, October, November, December, if we hit $100,000 in that by that time. So very exciting time, guys. I love bull runs because there's so much positive energy in the air versus bear markets where everybody's down and depressed and nobody wants to talk about crypto, right? So it's a lot easier to make content when people are happy and making money than versus when people are not. So, but the crazy thing is that the best time to make money in crypto, if you really want to make money in crypto, you have to enter and you have to accumulate when it's boring. When nobody else is paying attention to it, that's when you want to be in it. That's when you want to be in that mud, right? You want to be accumulating, building up your positions, because then once this phase comes around, that's when you really make money, right? So, you're still not too late. You can still buy crypto and you will still make money. Let's talk about that. So, going back to the chart. And let me actually pull up here. Let me see. Let me switch here really quick so I could pull up. So I could pull this up. So this is from Plan B. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Plan B. Let's go to his. I think he posted it on Twitter. Yeah. So this is plan B. Basically put up a chart saying that this is, so the green here is Bitcoin. If you're buying 6 months before the halving and selling after 18 months after the halving, right? You'll see that the blue is Bitcoin's actual price. And then the red is if you're buying 18 months after halving and selling 6 months before it. So obviously the red one, that's the worst one, right? We don't really need to talk about that one. The blue one, which is actually Bitcoin's price, we can see that that it's not far away from this one, but you can see there is a big difference. So this is sitting around here. If you were just buying and holding Bitcoin, basically you would be at right now at $64,000. If you were buying 6 months before the halving and selling 18 months after the halving, you'd be up over $100,000. So obviously this always outperforms just buying and holding. So again, it's not saying that it's the most optimal way to do it, but if you're looking to just buy and hold, right? If you're looking to make your life as easy as possible, then this is a very, very simple strategy that you can implement, right? Buy 6 months before halving, sell 18 months after halving. So let's look at the chart. Let's not just take his word for it and his chart for it. We can do this ourselves. We can figure this out ourselves. Let's open up a clean chart because this, I have all this stuff going on here. So let's look at another chart here. Let's do the Coinbase one. So let's see. Right now, the halving is tomorrow. So we might actually need to use this one because I have the halvings already printed here. You see how they're already printed there? So we can just ignore all this for now. And let's do, we need date range, right? So let's go back. We need to go back 6 months basically. Oh no, hold on. All right. So let's bring this to about 180. Let me go to the daily so I can go in a lot more. All right, so 6 months before, right? 100. It's about 180. It's not exactly. Let me see. 365 divided by 2, 182. Right? So let's go to 182. It's 182.5, but we're not going to be exact. We're just getting an idea. So if we would have bought 6 months before, now let's take a look at what that would look like, right? Price range. So 6 months before, we would have entered here. Let me just kind of put that there for now. And now let's see where we're at right now. Let me turn this back on. We'd be up 138%, right? So this is a number right here. If we would have bought 6 months ago, we'd be up already 138%. Now we don't know, obviously, the post-halving, what that's going to look like, but we'll see, right? We'll see, and we'll be able to, but what we can do is we can look at the previous ones. So now let's go back to the last halving, and let's kind of do the same thing here. Let's get the date range first. So about 182 days. And we need date range in the opposite direction as well. What was it? 18 months. So that's about 540 days. All right, so now let's take a look at how this played out during the last halving. So if, once again, we switch over to price and we measure from 6 months before to 18 months after, let's see what that gives us. So it would have been right around here. And we would have wrote it. First, let's see, at the halving, we would have been, even with the COVID crash, at the halving, we would have been about break even, right? So we're actually already doing a lot better than last bull run. And then we would have ended up topping out at the end of it. We would have done about 658%. Let me delete this one. That's in the way. 658% return if we would have sold. And wait, it's, am I there? Okay, perfect. So about 650% return on your money if you would have bought 6 months before, sold 18 months after, right? And now let's do it one more time. This time, let me remove this. Let's look at 2016. And of course, every previous year is gonna be a lot long. It's gonna be the returns were a lot crazier. So that's something also to take into account. But let's look one more time. Date range, 182 days. And 540 days. $540, right? And you can see once again, almost gave us the exact top. That's crazy. So once again, let's look at price range. If we would have entered on this exact day, by the Bitcoin halving, we would have been up about 49%. And if we sold 18 months after, we sold exactly 18 months after, we would have been up, it would have been a 3,000%, almost 3,100% return. So this is just buying 6 months before the halving, selling 18 months after the halving. In 2016, you would have got a 3,000, basically 3,100% return. In 2020, you would have had a 650% return. And so far in 2024, you're up already 138%, 139%, right? So how much higher can we go? I don't know, but let's say if we just hit $100,000, that's around 271%, right? If we're thinking, because remember, I'm expecting to see diminishing returns, right? I'm not expecting to see the same returns we saw last time, which was 650%. The same way I'm not, last time you shouldn't have been expecting to see 3,094%. So if we're expecting to see less than this, $100,000, it's around 270%. I know I've seen a lot of predictions of $200,000, which would put us at around 643% though. And if we had a return of 643%, that would be almost exactly as the last one. And if we're agreeing that we're seeing diminishing returns and we're not going to see the same type of return as last bull cycle, then it has to be less. So that tells me that we probably won't reach that amount. Maybe something around the 150,000 range. Is that something that's possible? We're currently at 64, so yeah, that's more than double where we are right now. So it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible that we see something around here for 450% return, $150,000 as the peak of the bull run. Again, I'm just kind of guesstimating here, using a diminishing returns. I'm thinking if returns are going to be diminished like it always has, then it should be less than 650%, right? If it's going to be less than 650%, which is $200,000, then that tells us that the peak probably has to be less than $200,000. So I look for the next big whole number that kind of makes sense, and I think $150,000 might be that, and that puts us at around 458% return. So, that's a possibility. And let's see, when would we be selling, right? So that's the next important question. So remember, we're looking for 540 days after. Puts us right about there. And that tells us that we should be looking to sell at some point around, does this give us the date? Well, some point around September, after September, right? So potentially in 2025, after September, it's telling us that that's around the time that we will probably peak and see the highest price for Bitcoin. Now, the only thing that I question about that is that Q4 is typically the most bullish quarter for crypto, and that's historically where we have seen the tops and the peaks in crypto. We've seen Bitcoin peak basically in December of the post halving year, right? If we look back here, we peaked in November, right? What was this peak? This peak was in April. We had the big drop. That was the China ban, Tesla selling Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. November, post halving year, is when we peaked, right? If we look back to this one, when did we peak? We peaked, this one was definitely December because I remember it. December, mid-December is when we peaked. So, you're going to have to kind of use a little intuition here. But I think the best thing that you can probably do as we get close to this is begin taking profits. Maybe don't sell everything, but take profits, dollar cost average your way out the same way you would dollar cost average into a position. So that's going to be the strategy for this bull run. Right? The strategy for this bull run is going to be the same way I've been preaching to dollar cost average into Bitcoin and other cryptos. In 2025, our strategy is going to be to dollar cost average out of Bitcoin and other cryptos, because using historical data, it tells us that around September or Q4 is when we're going to see that peak in Bitcoin and crypto and potentially go into that next bear market. So what we want to do, we kind of want to try to front run it, right? I know you don't want to miss out on profits, but the thing is, we don't know where or when that peak is going to be. So what we want to do is dollar cost average out of our positions the same way where we don't know where that bottom is going to be for Bitcoin. So we dollar cost average into positions. So I think that is going to be our strategy for 2025, to be able to maximize as much as possible those gains in crypto without staying stuck holding the bag when it peaks and price starts dropping again, and we end up round tripping our profits. So that's going to be the strategy for us. Gaming Tube says, "Hi, are you a AI?" No, I am not an AI. Ravi, what's going on, man? Great seeing you. I'm doing great. I'm very excited for the bull run here, as you can see, in my passion and energy today. So yeah, guys, we've been live now for about 45 minutes. Do you guys have any questions about anything right now that we've covered today? Let's see where we're at in the halving countdown. We're currently sitting at 9 hours and 24 minutes before the Bitcoin halving, guys. Very exciting times. I'm super pumped. Gaming Tube says, "You're so dedicated, you just got a sub." Thank you, Gaming Tube. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I love crypto. Been doing it since 2016. So I witnessed the 2016 halving and 2017 bull run. I was in it for the 2020 halving and 2020 bull run, and now for 2024. Very, very excited for what's to come. And very excited to not only make money, but help you guys make money, and potentially life-changing money like it's done for me in my life. So very excited about this, guys. We're less than 10 hours. We're 9 hours before the halving. Remember, if you missed the what I spoke about a few things in this live stream, and you guys can rewind it and watch it. The first thing was the war and how it affects crypto, and just all not only crypto but everything, right? War affects everything, and it's not something that we haven't seen before, right? We've seen this before when in 2022 with Ukraine and Russia's war, how prices dropped but then recovered very quickly. So remember, war is just a short-term thing when it comes to stocks and crypto. The other thing that we spoke about was the halving phases. Remember, there's 5 different halving phases, and we've built this model. We've built these cycles based on historical data, what it's done in the past. We can look in the past, see the same exact things happened over and over again, right? We're looking at the same exact thing, and now we're using those averages and trying to get an idea of what's going to happen now in the future. And then the final thing that we covered today was the best strategy if you want to simplify your life, right? If you want to simplify your life, you just kind of want to buy and hold, the best strategy to optimize buying and holding, which is buy 6 months pre-halving and selling 18 months post-halving. So set up in your calendars, if you missed the 6 months out, it's okay. Set up in your calendars though 18 months from tomorrow, right? So let's actually take a look at when that will be. Oh, well, we actually already did. It's in September, right? So after September, let me see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 18 months ends up in October if we don't count this month, right? So if we don't count this month, then we're saying that October is going to be 18 months out. It would be around October 20th, it looks like. Around there, right? Can Bitcoin peak in October? It definitely can. Because remember, we saw historically last time, so last bull run, it peaked in November. The bull run before that, it peaked in December. It might make sense that Bitcoin this time around peaks in October. So it looks like it's becoming a month earlier every time. So it might make sense. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. If you guys missed any of that I spoke about, because I really went in depth on all of those, make sure to just start this live stream over, start the video over, and watch it from the beginning. I put in, I gave a lot of golden nuggets to help you guys to optimize your buy and hold strategies and make as much profits as possible during this bull run. It is Friday, so I hope you guys have a happy Friday. Again, we're only 9 hours and 19 minutes away from the Bitcoin halving. Remember, post Bitcoin halving doesn't mean that price is gonna just skyrocket automatically. Historically, data shows us that it takes a few months before the Bitcoin parabolic run, right? Before that big parabolic move for Bitcoin. So I'm expecting the average in the last 2 bull cycles is around 90 days. So 2 to 3 months, I think, sounds reasonable. And then definitely by the end of the year, really expect things to really be taking off. So very excited, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like the video if you guys have not. If you guys are not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be doing a full video on this. I'll kind of condense all of this and record it, put it out for you guys next week. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, peace and love.